welcome back to my channel. Last week we drew this, or I drew it and chatted to you using this photo reference and my gorgeous selection of Neocolor 1 crayons, which I adore. This week, as promised, I'm going to use the same material to draw this. We're going to do it here. I'm not sure if I recorded the sketching out of this. I can't remember. If I did, I'll find it and I'll add it in. But you can see I've put in all the lines and everything to get the composition and so forth. Now, obviously, it's a bit like watching paint dry, running joke. And in order to keep you entertained somewhat, I'm going to finish with the questions that I had received back in November, I think, while I time-lapse this for you.
So I'm going to start with some simple questions this week. From the first couple are from Nell, who asked me if I ever got my Pith sketchbook. I did. I got the long one from CassArt, which you will have seen in the, I think it was the carrots week for May. I'll link that video up ahead if it was that one. And I really like the paper. She asked me if I've decided which sketchbooks are my favourite yet. No, I'm still going through that process. I know which ones I don't like. My current major dislike is the Sea Whites of Brighton watercolour book. The paper is just really textured but also thin and I don't like it at all. I've tried a few other materials on it in the past couple of weeks and nope, don't like it. Random questions, cat's name. My cat's name is Artemisia. Now, people ask me if she's named after Artemisia Gentileschi, who was an Italian artist, and the answer to that is no. She's actually named after Artemisia, the warrior in 300 Rise of an Empire movie, who was played by, cannot remember the actress's name, but I created a fashion collection around the life that Artemisia didn't have in Rise of an Empire, because she was lots of brutal things happened to her as a young person, a young girl. And so one of my fashion collections that I created was giving her the life that she didn't have as a child, so things that she might have worn as a young woman. When we got the cat, we were talking about different cat names and I was like, well, what about Artemisia, because it's such a cool name. Nell also asked, how long have we lived outside the UK? At this point, I've been outside of the UK for 6 years. It's not my first foray into living outside the UK. When I was 19, or was I 21? No, I was 21. I moved to the Bahamas, and it was only supposed to be in the Bahamas for a short period of time. The family that I had taken the job with were moving to New York. They had a house that they were renovating on the Upper East Side, as you'd expect if they're hiring a nanny. They were a lovely family, but then 9/11 happened, and so the whole move got cancelled for a couple of years. And so I ended up moving back to the UK, and then I moved back to New York with them in 2003, and I was there for a couple of years. I did lots of photography, black and white printing. I did a lot of classes at the New School there in New York in my spare time. Not that I had a lot of spare time, but that's what I did. Yeah, so those are the only times I've lived outside the UK. Now, that's all of Nell's questions. Jamie asked, they'd like to know if I plan on continuing my monthly challenges next year. Have I enjoyed the structure, and what is my single favourite medium to work with? Now, bearing in mind these questions were submitted in November last year, I think. I had intended to continue the monthly challenges, but life did not permit that to happen until just recently. I started a new challenge in May, and then I have one in June, and I've got one for July. Last year, what I did, if you're new here, last year I focused each month on a new material. Not necessarily a new material, but a material from my stash that I'd purchased and wasn't getting used. I thought it would be a really good way to understand how those materials worked, play with them, get to experiment, and I had great fun doing that. And yes, Jamie, I really enjoyed the structure of that, because it gave me the parameters within the month of, if I had time to sit down and do some artwork, I could sit down and do some within those parameters. And that's kind of why I've brought it back, just because I need something to give me that structure. Otherwise, I'm just doing art randomly and there's no structure to it. So this year, so far, I'm working on things that I want to integrate more into my work. So for May, May was more about getting other people drawing. And I would have continued with those timed drawings as well, except it nearly destroyed my channel, like in terms of reach, watch hours, people. And it's not like the channel earns much. I don't have this channel in order to earn an income, but what it does earn helps to subsidize the costs of program that I use to edit my videos, if I want to test out a new art supply, that kind of thing. It's not anything that earns a living and pays the rent, but it does add a little bit, not much, it adds a little bit to the pot, as it were. which is why I dropped those. And that's why now I'm back to focusing on the topic, like a subject. Rather than a material, I'm focusing on a subject. So June has been trees. July is going to be something else that I'm not going to tell you. August is going to be another topic. So they kind of all link together to help me progress how I want to progress with my goals. I hope that made sense. What's my single favourite medium to work with? Ooh, I think that was asked last week by Jess, and I can't remember if I answered or not. At the moment, I see the single favourite medium to work with. It does change week to week, month to month, depending on what I'm using. But my all-time favourite, I think, is probably colour pencils. Just because, and the reason I say that is because that's what I always make sure I have with me. If I'm running out the house, I will pop a couple of colour pencils in my bag. Upstairs by my bed, I mostly just have colour pencils and like black fine liners because I like drawing with black ink or with a graphite pencil. But a colour pencil, I think I'm at the period of my life where colour is really important to me. So I think I would have to say that my single favourite medium is colour pencils. Okay, that was Jamie. I'm also going to do Grace's question. She said, all I need to know is what is your favourite colour or if multiple colours. My absolute favourite colour is orange. My niece was stunned recently to learn that because she was like, what? That's my favourite colour too. And we never knew that about each other. She's in her 20s, you know, we're close and we never knew that about each other. But orange is my favourite colour. I like it with blue as well because complementary colours. It makes me happy to look at the two. Purple used to be quite high on my favourite colours list, but not really anymore. It's mostly orange and blue, but definitely orange. And like, it can be a bright orange, it could be a rusty colour orange. We are getting married next year and the bridesmaids and maid of honour will have an orange based colour to what they'll be wearing, which I will be making myself. Orange is very important to me and my life. And then I think I've got time for one more question. Let's do Kerry's. Kerry said, what do I love doing when I'm not doing art or my job? What are the interests do I have? And would you combine your other interests with art? And would you consider combining art with your job, such as fabric design? Yes, yes, and yes. So part of the reason that I have been more prolific in arting, for want of a better word, two reasons. One is I want to illustrate children's books. I write a lot. I love writing, and I have two books that are they're children's based, and I want to be able to illustrate them as well as having written them. David keeps telling me to get on with it because I've got a story about Ratty and he loves that story. And then one of the boys I used to nanny for, Dominic, I did him a story about a dragon boy actually. And I illustrated that one. It was so funny because the cover is printed on fabric that I put through my printer and there's tissue paper drawings and stuff. It was like the very first book I ever created. And I have a dream to create more children's books, but like more professionally done. And then at the same time, I also started experimenting more with watercolour initially because I wanted to create fabric prints that I would then use in my designs. And that is still on the horizon. My intention is to create prints and have fabric that is printed that has designs unique to me that I can then sell as sewing kits with my patterns for people to make up, that kind of thing, as well as making my own made to order pieces as well using my own fabrics. But outside of that, I have weaving looms. I love to weave. I haven't done a lot of weaving for over a year, but I have my loom sitting there staring at me every single day being like, hey Evie, don't you want to pick up some yarn and do some weaving? And I'm like, yes, but I don't have time. My dad often jokes that I need 48 hours in a day and not 24. So I did start learning to play the guitar years ago. I have my guitar nearby, but I only occasionally pick it up and pluck at it because you get calluses from playing the guitar, and then it's really hard to work with fine fabrics because you snag them. So that put a kind of dampener on that. When I'm no longer working with fabrics, I will start learning. I'll have to relearn because I've forgotten a lot of what I learned. The guitar, writing, I told you, cooking. I love cooking. I actually have a secret cooking blog. It's not that secret now, but it is because you don't know what it's called. And when I'm cooking or baking and I'm making up my own recipes, I will photograph it and put it up there for others to try. What else do I do? I'm kind of a person that has a lot of interests. Master of none, is that what they say? I love to do all sorts of creative things. But I also love spreadsheets. I like numbers. I like thinking things through, like puzzles. Okay, I think that's it because that is well over 12 minutes by my app. Yeah, it's 12 minutes and something and change. And I've got to now edit that down to 9. So that's going to be fun. But just a quick note, there are more questions still. If you have further questions, do drop them because I'll be sharing more videos. And I'm not one for adding music, so your questions are always handy for that.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I just used the 10 colours for that. light cadmium red, flame red, Sahara yellow, light olive, white, light grey, dark mid grey or regular grey, cobalt blue hue, cobalt blue itself, cobalt blue light, cobalt blue itself, and Prussian blue. And then you can see I try to get like a dark greyish using the colours for the cat. This section here should actually not be there as that. It should be part of this brick wall but further down, but I didn't want to put a big dark blob there and then detract from the cat. If I'd have thought about it, I probably would have put his second paw here, but too late. Shadow, bowl. Obviously colours are completely wrong, but that's what I love about these crayons is I really like it. It looks good on camera. My proportion went a bit skew with here. That's in the drawing of it though. But I couldn't do this with paint. I couldn't do this with colour pencils. I'd be too fussy. I wouldn't be, let me zoom you in a bit so you can see better. I'd be too fussy. I'd be trying to get all the detail. And there's no need for all the detail. That's not my aim. My aim is to simplify and have fun. And that's what I managed to do. It took me, I don't know actually, because I had to keep pausing the video and starting a new clip. But I think it probably took me about half an hour, 45 minutes. But I really like it. I didn't finish this. I feel like this needs a bit more grey because on camera it looks a bit different to what I want it to look like. But I'm happy with that. Hope you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you made it this far. Comment down below your thoughts. Have I convinced you that you need Neocolor ones in your life? I think I'm going to do one more video using them, but with the materials, art materials. So yeah, stay tuned for that. That'll probably be the week after this one, but I don't know where we are in my schedule of uploaded videos yet, so you'll have to wait and see. But thank you so much for watching. Big hugs, and I'll see you very soon. Take care. Bye.